What's up, y'all? It is your boy Jeff and my man Gabe here from Detailing Growth. We are still at SEMA 2023, and we're gonna sit down and talk about some podcasting.
Yeah.
We happen to be going into podcasting, and this is something new for us, and we're really trying to really take this thing into like a major scale. We've been doing it for probably about 3 years now, almost, but now we're actually going into like really podcasting and putting it up on iTunes and Spotify and all of that. Before, we were just zooming and trying to help people in need, for real. There's a lot of people asking questions, and we kind of grouped it. And then Mr. CEO actually came along, and he was like, yo, I'll do a podcast. And I was like, dang, you know what? That's what we're doing anyway. So now we're actually about to, put it on a mega scale and kind of put some fertilizer behind it, take this thing to another level.
Yeah, man. Listen, podcasting is the best way to get your message out there, especially video casting as well, because you can break that content down and make it super easy to devour and understand over time. And, jumping into the podcast space, if you've got something to say and like you've got a mission, there's no better way than to use a podcast to get that information out there. Tell me a little bit about Detailers Lounge. Like, what's the goal and like what does it do?
Well, it's like I got Agape Pro, which is a consulting, training, and detailing supply company too as well. So we used Agape Pro to actually sponsor the Detailers Lounge and pay for all of this equipment and t-shirts and everything else, so we can take off with it. And that's kind of like where we're going to push a lot of the traffic that really can afford help. We'll push them into the Agape Pro zone, and that's where we can help them scale their businesses and do all of that. But what we ran into is a lot of people can't afford it. They can't afford a consultant. They can't afford somebody to really help them get to the next level. So we realized that we really got to help a lot of people for free.
Yep.
And what better way to do that than to do it through some type of group effort versus trying to help everybody one by one by one.
Yep.
So you get all these people who calling you, hey man, hey Gabe, can you help me with this, man? I want to talk to you about this. Hey Gabe, let me buy you lunch, man. Hey Gabe, you like, I can afford my own dinner. How about we talk about you paying for these hours that we're sitting here doing this consulting?
Yep.
So what we started doing was just creating a Zoom and driving all that traffic back to one place.
Yeah.
And then through the Zoom, not only can you get my help, you can get OG's help, you can get my man T. Roy's help, because we got a group of professionals from all over the United States, even the UK, who jump up on our Zoom. And it went from, I hosted for 2 years, and then downtown Kenny Brown out of Buffalo, New York, stepped up to take my place of what we were doing on the Zoom. And then Mr. CEO just came in, and he's the one who's really driving us to push on to Spotify and iTunes and all of that. So this is like our first time really collecting content that we're actually going to put out. We did a couple other things, but we're still learning and trying to find our way through. But it's perfect that we bumped into a person like yourself who's been doing podcasting for a while. So I got to answer your question, that's what we're doing. So the Detailers Lounge is going to be pretty much like a free platform where people can get access to information that hopefully we can help you cultivate your skills, and then you can go on to something like a paid platform like Agape Pro.
I got you, okay.
Yeah, but you, yourself, how long have you been podcasting? How long has Detailing Growth been around?
So, I'll start with how the agency was born. When I first started in the industry in 2020, I come from a 20-year marketing background.
Okay, gotcha.
And I came into the industry and I made friends, and I had a friend of mine that had another shop that had his website done, and he ended up switching to another agency. And the new agency essentially took all the hard work that the first one did and the stuff that made a difference for him and nuked it, just like eradicated it from the internet.
Wow.
And this sunk my friend's business for 7 months.
Whoa.
It took 7 months to climb out of this hole.
Wow.
Right? It almost closed him. So the agency was born out of necessity that I was never going to let somebody else, if I could help, I wasn't going to let somebody else, another person that I knew, be taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big loyalty guy, and I'm a big person that's built on like just looking out and making sure that people know that they got their covered, and somebody's got their back. And I have people like I've never been upset if somebody doesn't work with us long term, but I get people to come back and talk to me later, years later, and say, like, they come to me and say, hey, this is who I'm considering working with. This is what they sent to me, and I'll tell them flat out. I'll be like, listen, this is a good fit, or this is not a good fit. The whole goal is to just look out for your people, right? And that's what Detailing Growth is here for, is to look out for people and to help businesses to reach the heights that they didn't think were possible. We've got guys that are working with us now that are buying second homes. Mm-hmm. They're paying off their mortgages. Right. They're buying and they're retiring their parents. They're putting their kids through college, like with fully paid scholarship or fully paid college funds. Yeah. Like all of that stuff is done through the efforts and time and energy that we put into Detailing Growth, and that's why I've refused to let anybody deter me from growing it.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people that need mine and yours, our help. There's a lot of people around here that need our help.
Yeah.
And I know that if we just keep putting in and putting in and putting in, the longer we put in, the more people we're going to help together.
That's right. That's it. I mean, I started my detailing shop. I own Extreme Detailing in Virginia Beach for the last 15 years. And, I got a pretty big staff and everything else. But through that company, I started by helping people. I was working with the foster care agency as the director of vocational services. So my job was to establish strong work ethics in at-risk kids, from foster care youth to behavioral kids to kids with learning disabilities and so on and so forth.
I was an at-risk youth.
Oh yeah?
Yep. Yeah. It was the system that put me on the right track. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you, if it had not been for that, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah, the system is a lot of advantages, man, but a lot of the kids feel like the system's against them and so on and so forth, and then by the time they realize it's not, and there's a lot of benefits in it, they're closer to like emancipating themselves, and then they lose all the benefits, and now they're trying to get back in and so on and so forth. Got another homeboy that opened up a nonprofit to help those kids that get rejected by the system once they try to get back in. There was another one called Hope U. Mm-hmm. But I've been in human services for over 20-something years. Mm-hmm. So the detailing shop came about. It was like my 4th program that I had written for the foster care agency. And by the time I actually got back from training, which we went out to, shout out to my boys Jason and Bill and Nick Vico from Detail King. I was one of the original authorized licensees in that program when they had first rolled it out. Mm-hmm. And that was my introduction to the detailing industry. I had never detailed before a day in my life. Mm-hmm. I would just wash the car in the driveway or something like that, but that was about it. And then from there, it kind of just segued into like, okay, I know I'm going to need ownership because this is going to take blood, sweat, and tears to really make this thing grow. Right. So I came back from the first training with Detail King, and then I sat down with my boss at the time. I'm like, yo, I want ownership. He's like, what? I said, oh yeah, I need ownership, man. He's like, where's this coming from? I said, look, what I just learned in that training is this going to take my all, my whole being, myself, to like indulge myself in this to really make this thing successful. Yep. And being that I'm learning detailing, plus I'm learning job readiness at the same time. So I'm learning 2 different crafts and trying to blend them together into a program that can help at-risk kids. So I've been helping from day one is what my point is. And as the company grew and we excelled, I only had like 30% ownership of the company. Then 2 years in, I bought the co-owners out, took 100%. And after that, a year after that, terminated my employment, formed a partnership, and then they ended up going out of business a little bit. I was still there, still prevailed, everything else. Here we are 15 years later. So, long story made short. But so I've been helping people forever. Now I'm really, Agape Pro is another program that I've written that happens to be a company that's gonna help anybody who needs help. Not government funded and so on and so forth. You know, you really gotta finance your way through. But in the process, I learned that, okay, a lot of people can't afford this, so that's where the Details Lounge came in. So it's kind of the same concept. We all just here to help. And it's crazy to hear your story because I never even known that, you know, that's what it was about, really.
Yep, so that's exactly why our agency's here. Don't get me wrong, the agency makes money and it's sustainable and there's profit that comes out of it, but I'll be honest, the majority of what we do is reinvested back into providing more tools and more value for people that work with us. Like, I don't know anybody else. Like, I have these cards at a couple of different booths, right?
Okay.
Right, so if you find one of these in one of the booths,
check that
and
out.
You scan this code on the back, there's like $3,000 worth of free stuff on that card. Like, when you scan it, the page that you land on, there's a guide to show you how to run Facebook ads.
Wow.
There's a sales snapshot scorecard that gives you an immediate snapshot on how you're doing in your sales with your close rate just by entering in like 3 lines of numbers.
Wow.
There's we've got our ebook guides. We have our I have a couple of ebooks in there. We have Reconciling the Gap, which is an ebook that I wrote. We have Autofilm at Scale, which is another concept that I wrote. There's so much value in that I think that we've had like 400 people opt in since we put these out.
Wow.
And like the list in my emails, crazy. I can't believe it. And it's like nobody else is willing to do this. Like, why are we gatekeeping this information from people? Like, look, I'm giving these people an opportunity to get their hands on it, and you know, the business pulls their information. We send them material. We want them to work with us.
Yeah.
You know, that's how, you know, marketing works. Yeah. Right. You give me your information, and in exchange, I'm going to give you all of this and more. Right.
Right.
And
all of that information is free, you mean?
All of this is completely free.
Free.
All you have to do is just opt in for it. Like,
wow.
The one on here is, we have a core sales framework in here that helps you as a business, as a shop, develop your message and value delivery. Teaches you what your pitch needs to contain. Right? The different components of a pitch or of a sales offering. Right? And how many people do you talk to that don't have a clue about what a value proposition is?
Thousands of them, man. Thousands of them.
The most important part of this, and nobody knows what it is. Like, the biggest one on here is the Reconciling the Gap ebook. That's an ebook that I wrote, right? So Reconciling the Gap it's a 20-page document ebook that I wrote that talks about how long business owners think something's going to take and how long it actually takes and what the in-between is.
Yeah.
That's in that.
And speaking of that gap, right, where do you think that gap came from? Because immediately in my head, you know, I'm picturing, you're talking about car enthusiasts here, you know, guys and girls who love cars. So they might not be as academically inclined.
Sure. And that's what this is for. To help them understand.
That's where that gap comes from. And it's like, okay, yeah, you're into cars, right? But you're thinking, okay, I'm running a business. I love cars. This is what's going to make it successful. But it doesn't work like that.
Nope.
You actually learn that there's a lot of business that has to go into this. And what you're doing by what you say with the ebook, Reconciling the Gap, that's perfect. That's perfect, man.
And the reason this is here is, you know, I've had ADD my whole life. Okay. And I
probably got it. I just haven't been diagnosed.
There's a lot of people that do. And listen, there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
ADD has a documented medical side effect called time dysphoria, which basically means that your brain, an ADD brain, physically does not hold the capability to understand how long something takes to do.
Right.
Right? And the reason I discovered this is I would hound on my guys. I'm like, yo, why is this taking so long? This should only be a 2-hour job, and you're taking 4. Like, what's going on, right?
Right.
And that sent me down the rabbit hole of time management. And there was something that I read that brought me over to WebMD, right? And then I landed on this concept about time dysphoria, and I learned that hours worth of time to somebody who has ADD feels like minutes. And it's something that just happens subconsciously, and it's fed by anxiety, which is also another a rider effect of ADD.
Yeah.
And it was just understanding where that came from and where the problem was that led me to develop the concept for the business, because it's the same thing. The difference is that I don't have an ADD brain for the business.
Right.
The gap in the business is created by humans, because you're hiring somebody that hasn't been doing paint correction for 12 years.
Right.
You're hiring somebody that just learned how to do it. And in 7 months, they're not going to know how to do that.
Right.
They're just not going to know. They're not going to understand.
It takes time.
Yeah, they're not going to have a clue. And you have to be willing to be patient enough to see to the other side of the gap, right? Because if you're just leaning on the side of the gap that says, this is how long it should take, you're not doing it right, this is it and nothing else, the only thing that you're going to do is just drive yourself insane.
You ain't lying. It's all facts.
Am I reading you to filth?
Yeah, definitely. I'm loving it, man. I didn't even know you had all this stuff going on, you know what I mean?
Most people don't, and that's
Yeah.
just because a lot of people aren't doing the deep dive.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of things that we do that just I wish that I could. I wish I had, $30,000 to put a booth together.
Yeah.
In this place, but it's just not in the cards. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean the agency isn't doing well, or it's just we're just not there yet.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for that time.
Yeah, it may be a time where we may be going half on that. You know what I mean? Because that's what I'm looking at about within 2 years.
Okay.
Within 2 years, we should be having a booth. I mean, I know like my Agape Pro and stuff, but we may be doing like a couple booths. You know what I'm saying? Like one for the Detailers Lounge, because my idea and concept is set that up here. Like, what is it called? The Detailers Lounge, right? Here's a lounge where you can chill, sit back, relax, do some podcasts, do some interviews, and everybody can just come and chill.
That's
man.
something else that somebody said to me the other day. Somebody could be renting podcast rooms here and be making a murdering.
Yeah.
Like, why is that? Why is that not here?
Yeah.
Why is there no podcast rooms? Why is that? But anyway, you asked me about podcasting and how long I've been doing it. I've been involved in a podcast in some form or another, whether my own or helping friends or family put theirs together. In several different ways. My podcast started within the last year.
Okay.
And eventually it evolved into pulling the content out of our calls that I have with clients, because there was always something valuable to tell.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of what you see online.
Ah, got you. Makes sense. Yeah. Real stuff. Real
Yep.
data, man.
It's got to be real. Otherwise, it's got to be deliverable.
They can smell it. They can smell it from a mile away. Just like us sitting down right now. We didn't premeditate this. We just did another podcast at a booth right across from us and sat down real quick, organically, and just created another concept.
That's
Start
it.
talking, man. Because that's what the people want to hear. They want to hear the real stuff.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, how long are we in? We had about 18 minutes now.
We are
But
wrap it up.
So the other question, man, that I have for you as a person who has been doing a podcast all of this time, right? Equipment-wise on a podcast, do you feel that you have to go, $5,000, $6,000 in equipment for a podcast, or can you run a podcast on a couple $100 in equipment?
I could run. I mean, no. Do you need it? No. Does it make it nice and make high quality content? Sure.
Yeah.
I myself use a very expensive camera, and I
Okay.
use the microphone I use isn't super expensive. It's like $130.
Yeah.
The camera's the most expensive piece.
Mm-hmm.
You could go and spend $125 if you just wanted to do audio. $125, and then maybe one piece of software that costs $25 a month, and that's all you need.
Yeah. What about video casting? Are you video casting at all? I know I've seen all of your digital stuff, your audio
Yeah, I mean,
stuff.
I use this DSLR. This
Okay.
is a Sony A7S for full K, full frame video.
Yeah.
It does up to 120 frames a second. It's a crazy camera.
Yeah, and where are you hosting that stuff at? Is it on like the YouTube channel or?
A lot of the full podcasting ends up on YouTube. A lot of the micro content ends up on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all those types of places.
Okay, gotcha.
But the full podcast episodes end up on YouTube, and of course, they filter down into the other channels. Spotify, Amazon, Google, all those places.
Gotcha.
If you want to do video, you can. You just need a decent webcam. You can buy like a Logitech Brio 4K HD webcam. It's like, I don't know, $150 to $180. That and a microphone
Yeah.
get you in the game for like probably less than $400. That's
Yeah.
it. That's all you need.
Yeah. I gotta get you on our Zoom show, man.
Absolutely. Listen,
Yeah.
I'd love to be a
Yeah.
part of the lounge and see how I can help.
Yeah.
You know?
No doubt. Definitely, man. You on Facebook, right? So I'm gonna get you to scan the back of my shirt so you can join the group.
Okay.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Just like that, we got the shirt with the QR code. You just click up there. We just actually, we launched the group probably 2 months ago. We're already at like 130, 140 something. I don't even know how many likes or people we got in the group, but we just launched it. Haven't even marketed it. This is just our own network of people that we know, detailers, friends, and family, and all of that. And this is our first time actually marketing the Detailers Lounge in the public, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm sure like we probably done gained 20, 30 something people just from walking around and people seeing us doing the interviews and walking around with the t-shirts. So yeah, we get you up in there, man. We got some big wigs in there too, because we know like a lot of the folks, Rennie Doyle's, all of them, man, and all of them now are inside the group. So we ain't got a large group yet, but we got some heavy hitters, man. Definitely. So I'd like to get you up on the show, man. And
Absolutely. Listen, I'd love to, donate time and contribute the best way that I can. I'm happy to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to give my time to organizations that are putting in the effort and willing to match the effort that I am.
Yeah.
And that's what I see from Detailers Lounge, just in the short amount of time that I've known about it.
Yeah.
And we have our own group. It's business and marketing strategies for the ceramic coating, window tint, and PPF industry, right?
Okay.
So, like, if you were to scan this code and fill out the thing, you get access to it.
Okay.
But I think we've got like 800 people in it or so, something like that, and it's growing every day, and it can get a little unruly at times, but
that's how it is.
that's how it goes. I just, I'm just happy that I had a chance to meet you and hear about what your mission was and where you came from. It's all about spreading like-minded energy these days.
Yeah.
I'm just happy to know you.
I'm telling you, bro, this was just 2 weeks ago. We were researching the hell out of you. Then I'm sitting down with you. I mean, it is just, stuff happens like that's when God is involved, man. We were supposed to meet. We were supposed to collab. And, man, I can't wait to see what the future holds for us.
Absolutely, brother. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you.
Likewise, brother.
Yeah.
Nice hat, too.
Thank you.